Here at JobQuest, our goal is to always help you along your career path. And today, we're going to talk about one of the most important, but one of the most stressful steps along the way. That's right, it's all about job interviews. Let's get the job. Yo everyone, welcome to JobQuest. I'm Matt from Project Rebuild, and today we're going to be talking about job interviews. Now, while there are multiple styles of job interviews, what we're focused on is primarily going to be one-on-one, in-person style interviews. We'll look at the others in the future, so make sure you keep checking back for more content. Job interviews can be stressful and challenging for even the most established professionals, so if you're a little bit nervous before one, it's natural and it's okay. Keep in mind that a job interview is just a conversation, and the very worst thing that can happen is you don't get the job, which is okay. While job interviews are extremely important in your career path, they don't define your potential, your future, or your value as a person. Plenty of people have absolutely bombed a job interview and still went on to go be a success in their career. With that being said, job interviews are an essential step in your career path, so you're going to want to do your best on them. And to help make the process a little bit easier, we break things down into 3 steps. And those 3 steps are before the interview, during the interview, and after the interview. And this video is specifically focused on what you need to do before the interview to help you get the job. In all things, success depends on previous preparation, and without such previous preparation, there is sure to be failure. That's a quote that's attributed to Confucius, and it still rings true today. If you want to get the job, you've got to do your best, and if you want to do your best, you've got to do some preparations beforehand. The good news is we're here to help. The first step is the time you have leading up to the job interview. First of all, you're going to want to make sure you have all of the details correct. The time, date, and location are all essential to know, so make sure you write them down. It's also helpful to know who you're going to be interviewing with, but sometimes that information isn't going to be available. Once you have all of the details locked down, the next step is going to be to start the research process. And one of the best places to start that process is through the job posting. A job posting is the post you applied through, which is probably on the company's website or a job search site. The job posting is full of relevant information and should give you a clear picture of what the company is looking for. You might find things like what your responsibilities would be, skills they're looking for, and information about compensation. And another great place to do research is on the company's website. Most companies include information about their history, their values, and other things that are important for you to know as you prepare. And if it's possible, visiting the company and observing it is another great way to do research. Now, with some employers, that's just not going to be practical, but if you can, visiting as a customer is going to give you valuable insight about how the business is ran. Using all of that information, start thinking about how you would fit into the company and their culture. So if they state that they're looking for a safety-focused, fast learner, start thinking about examples of times you were focused on safety and you learned something fast. Those are going to come in really important when you have the interview, but for right now, let's just focus on before the interview. As you're leading up to the interview, you're going to have to start making some plans too. There's some actual steps you're going to need to make sure so that you're prepared as you walk through the door. And they include the following. How are you going to get to the job interview? How long is it going to take you to get to that actual site? What time do you need to leave the house to make sure that you arrive on time? What are you going to wear? Is it clean? Does it still fit? How are you going to look? Do you need a haircut, a shave, or to purchase cosmetic products? Do you have copies of both your resume and your references printed? What about a notebook and pens? Do you need to arrange for childcare? And what are your backup plans for these questions if something falls through? And a quick note about how you should dress for a job interview. You should always be at least one step above what the employees are wearing. So if the employees are wearing informal clothes like jeans and a t-shirt or a uniform, you're going to want to make sure that you're wearing at least a shirt with a collar and pants that aren't jeans. If the employees are already dressed in business casual wear, you're going to want to make sure you're a step above that with a suit, a skirt, or a dress. Leading up to the job interview, you're going to want to spend some time practicing as well. And when I say practice, I don't just mean mental rehearsal, I mean actually practicing. You should find a trusted person and practice being asked common job interview questions and respond to them as if you were actually in an interview. You should do this with the questions that you'll be asking the interviewer as well. Another thing you can practice is your facial expressions and your body language, which I know might feel silly, but I promise you it's gonna help. By spending some time practicing things like having your shoulders back, your head held high, standing and sitting straight, and having a sincere smile on your face, those are all gonna pay off when the pressure is on. And if it's possible, you should practice visiting the site of the job interview using the same method of transportation you'll be using the day of. By doing a dry run to the site, you're gonna have a better understanding of how to get there, how long it'll actually take you, and it'll clear up any uncertainty about parking or traffic, where you need to go in, or anything else you're unsure of. So now that we've done some of the early preparations when it comes to your job interview, let's focus in on the time right before that interview. What you decide to do the night before, the hours before, and the minutes before that interview are gonna put your mind at ease, increase your confidence, and make it much more likely that you're gonna do awesome in that interview. The night before the interview, you'll wanna make sure that whatever you're wearing is clean, wrinkle-free, and ready to go. You're also gonna wanna have a few copies of your resume and reference sheet printed, plus a notebook and pen. These things make you look prepared and that you're taking the opportunity seriously. You should also prioritize getting a good night's sleep before the interview. So make sure you get to bed early enough so that you can get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. But before you hit the hay, take some time to review your research and practice your answers one more time. You'll also want to confirm all of your plans for childcare and transportation. So make sure your mom remembers that she's watching the kids. And make sure that you have gas in the tank and air in the tires of the car. And make sure you check the weather just to be sure that there's no adverse conditions coming up that might impact your morning drive. The hours before the job interview all start with waking up at an appropriate time. You're gonna wanna make sure that you are awake and alert. This should mean you wake up at least a few hours before you have to leave. This is also gonna give you enough time to shower, use personal hygiene products, and get dressed. You also might wanna use this time to build up your self-confidence. So spend a little bit of time saying positive things about yourself. I am going to do great at this interview. I am the perfect candidate for this position. I am ready to go get the job. You can also visualize your success. Imagine yourself performing well and think about how good it will feel knowing that you did your best. Or you can call someone who supports you and loves you and is in your corner. Words of encouragement can remind us how capable and worthy we are of something. Plus, you're gonna wanna take the time to eat a healthy breakfast and, if you can, go get some fresh air. You should also check traffic conditions a few times in the morning, just to see if there are any issues that might pop up that could cause a delay. This will give you enough time to look for another route or leave earlier than you originally planned. Make sure you leave with plenty of time so you can avoid any stress that might come from traffic, and once you get dressed, do not eat or drink anything else. The last thing you need is to spill coffee on yourself as you're driving in. So now that you're on your way there, it's time to start thinking about the minutes before the job interview. First of all, make sure that you arrive to the site of the job interview somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes early. This gives you enough time to compose yourself and to check in. If you arrive at the site more than 30 minutes early, it's okay to sit out in your car for a little while. Showing up too early might put the interviewer in an awkward situation if they weren't ready for you, or it might look like you didn't know what time the interview was. Obviously, you really want to avoid the flip side of that coin by showing up too late. That'll make you rushed and frazzled. As you enter the building, make sure you're polite with everybody that you encounter. A genuine smile and positive body language goes a really far way, and you have no idea who you're interacting with. That person working the front desk could have a great relationship with the hiring manager, and they might be asked for their opinion on candidates that they interacted with. If needed, ask where the restrooms are located, which is where you can take one more look at yourself and make sure everything is in place. Plus, you're gonna wanna wash and dry your hands because odds are you're gonna be shaking hands with somebody very soon. In these final minutes of the job interview, make sure your phone's turned off, remind yourself why you want this job, and don't forget to breathe. Just a couple of deep breaths will calm your nerves and make it much more likely that you're ready to go when they finally call your name. I know it feels like we might be leaving you on a cliffhanger, but our next video is going to be all about what to do during the interview. And as long as you follow the steps leading up to that job interview, you can walk in there confidently knowing that you're going to do awesome. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and let's keep taking steps on your job quest.